Hello YouTube, Liverpool fan in Japan here, the Miyazaki Mansai. Very keen on having intellectual debate on the Liverpool versus Manchester City at the Etihad tomorrow. Let's talk about potential win conditions, okay? So let's look at it from both sides, the Manchester City side, Pep Guardiola, and Liverpool side, Jurgen Klopp. These are two tactical masterpieces in terms of absolute geniuses of the modern game and the game of all time. Basically, these guys would have been preparing for this match. The match is not just 90 minutes. It's not 90 minutes plus injury time. It is days, weeks and months in the making, conjuring up the specific tactics to win this encounter, because this is a 6-point swing. Not only do you win 3 points for a win, which is absolutely crucial, but you take a game away from the opposition as well and deny them points to climb up the table. So this is absolutely crucial, but it's probably more important for Manchester City to win because they're expected to win. They're favourites and they're at home as well. And if you look at Liverpool's side, they're only 1 point behind in second place at the moment, but they've played some very tough away fixtures. Away at Chelsea, away at Spurs, even away at Wolves, for example, and they're going to be away at Manchester City, right? So they wouldn't be too downhearted because they're not expected to win, but they can win. And that's where the big impact will be, because it will be a bigger psychological blow if Manchester City blow it and lose points against Liverpool at home than it would be to Liverpool losing on the road. Liverpool would have the opportunity at Anfield to turn it around with the crowd under their belt, and you never know what can happen. It would be an absolute cauldron, right? But okay, let's go back to the tactics on play here. So Guardiola, where can he exploit the Liverpool setup at the moment? Left back is an obvious area for concern. Robertson, an absolute stalwart, steady Eddie, reliable, you know what he can do, but he's always defensively solid and reliable. Usually give you at least a 7 out of 10 performance every single week. Kostas Tsimikas came back from the international break early, rejuvenated, and he would have been able to prepare for this match with a longer extended period with coaches and training with the teammates that are still left behind. Additionally, I think that's a big point as well, right? The players are coming back from international duty. South Americans traditionally would be the most tired. Talking about McAllister, Lucho Diaz, Nunez, Alisson. The trip, has a bigger bearing on your body, physical and mental, than you maybe can account for. Only Julian Alvarez, I think, from Man City, from the South American contingent. But then again, they came back on fire, on form. Darwin Nunez, agent of chaos, absolutely hot. Fire in desire. On form for country, on form for club as well. He's statistically making a lot of goal scoring opportunities, non-penalty goals. He's converting a lot as well. He has some missed sitters as well, but that's the kind of player he is. He's always exciting, and you need him there. He's got youthful exuberance because you don't know what he's going to do. He's not fazed by any occasion. He will go for it. And actually, I think that's a big plus for Liverpool as well. Mo Salah, proven winner, fighter, determined, wants to win everything, even ping pong. Darwin Nunez, he's got that childlike demeanour, which means he's not fazed by anything. He'll just go out there and do his thing. Lucho Diaz, he's a warrior, he's a fighter, he's gritty, and having come through the hardships with his father, I think just wants to play football, play with a smile. But actually, Lucho Diaz might not start because obviously he travelled, and Diogo Jota has been on fire as well. He's been secretly under the radar as someone who slots away the chances, makes opportunities with his slaloming runs. His slaloming runs, I keep saying slaloming, it's such a hard word to say, have actually been a big contributing factor to penetrating the final line. And Ruben Diaz knows just how good he is, obviously being compatriots as well. So, Manchester City, looking at places to exploit the Liverpool team. Left back, Kostas Tsimikas, he gets caught and dwindling on the half space in the wing back area. That would be a potential area, because if they turn over there, they are deadly and they are quite clinical as well. If someone wins the ball, let's say a Doku or Bernardo Silva or even a Grealish, probably won't be Grealish because Grealish will play on the left. But if Doku or Bernardo Silva or even Foden win the ball there, playing Haaland straight on our back line, it will be a measure of Van Dijk's focus and awareness to account for Haaland and make sure to snuff out any danger, okay? So Kostas Tsimikas can be caught in that left wing back position. Deeper, he's safe as houses, and further forward, he's looking to overlap, whether it's Diaz or Jota who will be cutting inside, and he's predominantly very, very good at that role, but not as consistent as Robertson. I'd say he's very good with both feet, as opposed to Robertson, who's very left-footed, but Tsimikas' left whipped ball is very good as well, so Man City will want to contain him there, and if the ball does come in, overload on the back post, because that's probably where the ball is going. But they can exploit that area there. Additionally, we don't have a defined number 6 when Wataru Endo is not playing. Does Wataru Endo play this game? Possibly, possibly not. I made a video on whether McAllister or Endo will start this particular game. Pluses and minuses, but I have a feeling that Jurgen Klopp in the big games usually goes with McAllister in the lone 6 role as a pivot, as a tempo maestro, because he wants a ball player there to be able to break that initial line, that initial press, and McAllister is pretty good at that. McAllister is also a high caliber player, having played in the World Cup final, started that alongside Messi and did not look out of place. A man for the big occasion, okay? So they could be exploiting McAllister on the turn, because we know that the ball wants to come to him. He's going to be the one to pick up the ball in between the lines of defence and midfield. Liverpool look to that quite a lot. I think he'll tuck in alongside Trent to form that double pivot anchor at the bottom of Liverpool's midfield. But City could high press onto that position, and they've got players like Rodri or Kovacic. I don't know if Matheus Nunes is back fit for them as well. Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden. They're quite a good pressing team as well. So they'd be looking to turn over the ball when either Endo or McAllister or Trent in that hybrid pivot role has it. And that's where they can cause a lot of trouble, because similar to Liverpool, when you pressure the opposition at that defensive line, or they lose it transitioning the ball along the back line, City are devastating, and they play with pace, they play with intent, and they make you pay. It's about being clinical and knowing what you're doing when a situation presents itself, and that's where we come into the phases of play that will really determine this game. And I think there's a few, maybe 3 or 4 phases of play. One is the strategic setup of the players who start the game and the instructions that Pep and Klopp would have given them to say, this is what you need to do. Our win conditions are to get you one-on-one, to get the ball into this half space, to isolate the defender on the back post, to move the players out of position with a false 9 striker, to bring them into areas of uncomfortableness, to put Gavadio under pressure because he does not want to be in a wide position, maybe tucking in as a free if Kyle Walker overlaps, for example, where there's a Kanji or Ake on that side. It's going to be very interesting to see how both teams line up. As soon as the lineup is announced, kind of get an inkling and an idea of what the opposition are trying to do in that phase of the game. Man City are at home. Liverpool will be under the cosh. They'll start with high tempo, but Liverpool travelling fans also are very influential as well. They make a lot of noise, so you're hoping they can counteract that and balance that as well. And Liverpool traditionally start quite fast as well. It'll be an open, frantic, fast start, but then you've got other things that you can't control, like the referee in charge of the game. I think he's originally from Manchester or somewhere as well. You can't control that anyway. Let's not bring that into discussion, but once again, he will set the tempo when he calls an early foul, when he gives an early booking, will dictate how aggressive you can go into the tackle, and this will also determine the kind of mentality and playing instincts of certain players, Wataru Endo particularly, but also Rodri, for example, or a Ruben Diaz, or a Gomez, or someone who likes to go in or go tight. Then you've got other areas to exploit. So traditionally, if we do play with our Tsimikas and Trent Alexander-Arnold and they like to push up or they like to invert, there's space in behind for a diagonal ball. But this is where the box formation slightly negates that, because of the fact that the box still allows for the defensive position, and you've got solidarity so that nothing will come through the middle, which blocks out the lines to Haaland, which is the main role of a 6 anyway. So, which is why Endo could be playing that role, because defensively off the ball he's very good at blocking the channels. So the lines in behind the back, that's a point of contention as well. And Man City will try to exploit us, probably with Jeremy Doku. He's absolutely lightning. Maybe Grealish as well. Great ball carrier. In seasons past, Kevin De Bruyne caused us a lot of damage because he could progress the ball and break our press, break through the lines with either ball or a penetrating run. And remembering that De Bruyne used to be a winger, right? He's so adept at going inside, outside, and picking out the right ball and the early ball as well. And he's got a curvature, sexy curvature. But he's out, right? So who else can do that for City? Not too many players, to be honest, and this is where I think the game is slightly different than it used to be in the past, because Gundogan was a tempo maestro, box to box in between the lines. Rodri, who starts from deep position, has been trying to imitate Gundogan and doing it to great effect, right? But I don't think he offers the same threat as Gundogan in the offensive transition. Rodri's got a hell of a long shot and he's a defensive maestro, and he can dictate the phases of play for them, but it's different without David Silva, Gundogan, right? So it'll be a different game. It's a fresh new game, and this will be very, very fun to see what Pep decides to do and how he transitions the ball from the back to the front, because they're very much a possession based team, right? And he's gone a bit more chaos this season than total control. And with someone like Haaland, right, it's all about presentation of chance. You give him a sniff of the ball in and around 6-yard area, he's going to test Alisson more than likely. And he's very aggressive and very fast, so it's all about blocking the lines to Haaland. So what can Liverpool do to counteract that threat and present their own threat? So Liverpool will be inviting pressure, but what Liverpool need to do, they must do the Chelsea blueprint, which is play the ball out of the back. They need to be confident and brave, okay? Play to the instructions of the team by keeping possession, because you don't want to turn over possession to City unless the plan is to counter-attack. But Liverpool predominantly have not always been a sit-back and counter-attacking team. We only do that when we're ahead and in a tough game. Tottenham Champions League final, for example. Anyway, I digress. What Liverpool will need to do in this particular game is stamp their authority, and that's a cliche, but what it really means is the players with the maturity and leadership to play their natural game. Szoboszlai's got that youthful exuberance and the confidence as well, captain of the national team, and he can take the long shots. He's got a bit of cheeky flair and cheeky skill as well. He'll be very, very important. And also in this setup, the left-sided number 8 is absolutely paramount, because it's usually in that position that we have a bit of a game breaker. If it's Gravenberch with his youthful nature as well, touch that can take the ball away from the defender and gliding past the press, he can break the press. Do we play with 2 progressive 8s, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai? Curtis Jones is fit again, back in training. He's the one who can take and receive the ball in any position. Left wing spot, left midfield spot, left side midfield, left wing back, even from the defence in the 6th position. Curtis Jones is actually very adept at finding a pocket of space to receive the ball. He's always available. That's the main facet of his game that I find attractive. Forget his offensive capabilities he showed in his youth, curling against Everton in the top corner, shooting, crossing is so-so, quick passing game, one touch, tick-attacker. It's his ability to take the ball in any situation that diffuses the pressure and the press of the opposition, because he can turn the player and he can go back, or he can keep it for a while, or he can do a dribble. He's actually very, very press resistant. He's very, very good in that regard. Could there be a surprise? Could McAllister play that advanced 8 left-sided position and Endo behind him? Don't see it. They haven't really played that much together, them three, but Endo with the first team, let's say, would be a very mouth-watering proposition, because he has shown the ability to break the lines of a progressive pass, an arch pass into Szoboszlai's feet to bang in top corner against Leicester, right? The movement as well, the unpredictability, whether it's Jota, Lucho Diaz, it will be Núñez up front. I don't think Gakpo will start, to be honest, and obviously Mo Salah on the right-hand side. There's a case to be told for Harvey Elliott, because Salah is someone who can make the difference in the game. One shot, one opportunity, weaving in and out, put Laporte on his ass one time. Harvey Elliott, for me, in eye test, has always been the one to find out Salah in open space more often than not, because Elliott can also take that position on the half inside right forward space, left-footed, drifting in with Salah on the outside, or giving to Salah there, and Elliott drifting around the outside, because he can play the wing role. He did very well for Blackburn in Championship in that role as well. He is a good presser as well, and he could be very interesting, but I think Elliott will most likely come from the bench. So that's the first phase of play. Who is the starting lineup? You can see how they clash in the first 10-15 minutes. The next point of contention and how the game will ultimately be determined is who can make the changes, who has those contingency plans, who can adapt on the fly as the game is going on, as the game ebbs and flows, with the right decision making. First of all, you've got the players on the pitch. So can you tactically rejig them to make it more suitable for the game that is actually occurring, the game that's actually happening? In this regard, they're both very strong. I don't know who's stronger than the other, because Klopp started with 4 strikers one time against Guardiola, surprised him, sprung out of the box. Firmino, Jota, Mane, Salah, all gung-ho going for it, and we created chance after chance, couldn't put the game away, couldn't even score a goal. We made the chances, couldn't convert them, and the City took over possession. Guardiola changed the tempo, rejigged the formation, we lost control. Now with 4 strikers on the pitch, they're not the best adept at regaining the ball, and yet the game turned on its head. I don't think Klopp will go so gung-ho this time, but it's very interesting to see how the formations tweak and change as the game progresses, and it's ultimately determined as well by the players and personnel we have on the pitch. If Klopp decides to have Gomez instead of Tsimikas for that defensive solidarity, it could be that Klopp, wants Gomez there for protection, and obviously being on the left-hand side, he's not very adept on the left-hand side with his left foot compared to, Tsimikas, for example, so he always look to cut in. What if Guardiola forces Gomez to go up front by not pressuring him? Give Gomez the ball, let Gomez have the ball in that left channel, and let's see what he can do. Once he's out of position, spring the trap on the player he passes to and break behind him. That could be a ploy to lure Gomez forward as well, right? So it does depend on the personnel and how you tweak things, but having these kind of flexible players is very important to be able to adjust on the fly, and that's what Liverpool's transformation was aimed at doing this season. Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones, Gravenberch, Endo, Bajcetic, Thiago, and Harvey Elliott all are very good at pressing the ball. All of them have had stints on either side, left and right, and they could probably drop back into the 6th position to help out in double or triple pivot to block the lines into the centre forward. Some better than others. Obviously McAllister is playing from deep to start with. Endo is very good from deep position. Szoboszlai has proven very adept at a deep position. So later in the game, Klopp always puts Szoboszlai in deep position to get the ball and make things happen, because he's a progressive player that can break that first press as well. Harvey Elliott probably doesn't drop so deep, but Curtis Jones does, because he started there for the England under-21s in the national team. So having multifaceted midfielders are very important. But Man City also have this because with Kovacic, with Foden, all these players who are very comfortable playing with the ball and receiving the ball in any area of the pitch, Julian Alvarez as well, for example. Man City are loaded with absolute quality. You know, there's no taking that for granted. They are an absolute top quality squad, probably the best squad in the world right now. But they're not ultra defensive in terms of the way they employ their press, and that means there's always chances to be had because they like to have the ball and they like to progress and they like to have their offensive transitions as well, which is why Chelsea managed to score 4 past them. Amazing, right? And in order to score the goals against Man City, you have to be brave. It comes down to bravery again and implementing the plan that Klopp, Pep Linders and the team have put into place for your particular role and your particular function. Let's say, for example, the ideal scenario is to get Salah in the inside right position, in that kind of Mazzala position against Gvardiol, because Gvardiol does not want to be pushed out wide. At the same time, he has to cover Salah on the inside, which leaves Trent or a rampaging right-sided player, Szoboszlai for example, to go around the outside. A Szoboszlai or Trent delivery from the outside behind the lines could be devastating, but you've got to cover Salah as well, because what if Salah's intention is to go inside, cut inside? And now he's not selfish, he doesn't always bend the ball or take the shot. He's got high assist numbers, so he is the key assistant in our team as well. What's he going to do with the ball? It'll be very, very interesting as well, right? And yeah, how can you defend Darwin Núñez? You don't know what he's going to do. He doesn't know what he's going to do, but he's on red hot form at the moment. As long as he plays with instinct, right, and just, you know, keeps trusting himself, the chances will come. I'm sure Núñez will get a good goal scoring opportunity. And this is the battle between Núñez and Haaland again, right? Remember that pre-season when Núñez stooped to score the header and Haaland missed a sit, and it was like, oh, what a flop. One game doesn't indicate anything, but you know the caliber of the player and what they're capable of, and both of them are top quality strikers. Absolutely different in what they do and what they deliver in different stages of their maturity as well, but they will have a big impact and big influence on the game. And what of the expected injuries? Again, is Stones actually fit? Ederson should be fit, right? For injury, kept out of the last game as well. Could they be making an appearance from the bench? It's unlikely. Ederson will start. I think they'll go for their absolute strongest lineup because it's a state of intent if they beat Liverpool at home and if they smash Liverpool at home. But I would rather Liverpool go for the win. You know, really out of 3 games, 4 games, go for the win, because if you can win even 2 or 3 of those games and get smashed one time, you end up with more points. Draws are absolutely useless. We lost the title because of too many draws that season. I think we only lost once in total, but a draw is 1 point, but more importantly it's 1 game out of your season. So why not, with Liverpool's ability and firepower, go for the win in hopes of getting the 3 points, because getting the win out of 1 potential draw is the same as 3 draws and 3 fixtures, which loses 3 games out of your calendar. I really hope that makes sense. I've been trying to emphasize the point again and again. Draws are absolutely useless. I believe you should not settle for a draw. You should go for the win no matter what. And with the squad, and obviously with the youthful exuberance, the firepower, the potency, and the rivalry in place, it's mentally more confident and even intrinsically more, you put more passion into it when you can say you've gone out on your shield, you went for the win and you got sucker punched, as opposed to we played for the draw, we were defensive and they broke us down eventually and got the goal that they needed to win, right? As a player of many sports, I think the mentality has to be you win, you show that you're capable of beating everyone, and you beat them one way or another, by hook or by crook. And saying that, it could be the players on the bench that make a big difference, because we talked about the second phase, which is adapting on the pitch, right? The first is starting lineup, see how they initially clash, make your adaptations, transform the team, the tempo, the way of playing, the strategy and the approach, and then you might need firepower from the bench or a tactical rejig that only a player from the bench can provide. Remembering that the players can only do what's within their own natural ability, and form has to be taken into account here, the personable factors here. Look them in the eye and see if they're ready to deliver the instructions that you placed on them. And there's a few things here. Players have absolutely a role and instructions from the management team to fulfill in a given match, to set up win conditions or to avoid the enemy's win conditions or to put them off course, right? Liverpool have to have a strong, solid defensive performance. Van Dijk, Konate expected to start. Titans, monstrous in the air, strong, fast, athletic. Trent will probably invert from the right-sided fullback position into the midfield to try to break the lines. He'll be our version of De Bruyne from deep, our version of Gerrard from deep, okay? He could have a big influence here because he hasn't actually got so many assists this season. He's been setting up the assist before the assist, if that makes sense, playing the balls through the lines to the person who will make the assist. I think the firepower is a little bit equal in this regard. Usually, Manchester City have such an exuberant squad that they can overwhelm opposition because the player that replaces the player is as good as, if not better, or better tactically fit, presentation for what Guardiola is trying to do for that particular game or that particular moment, it's ridiculous. Obviously, they've assembled their squad through interesting methods, but Liverpool have a lot of firepower this season and a lot of rotational options, right? Discounting the fact that Gerard Quansah is the mini Van Dijk or second coming of Van Dijk or whatever he said, Harvey Elliott makes a big impact. He is an impact player getting the ball to Salah, as I've mentioned, right? And whichever you don't start out of Curtis Jones or Endo or Gravenberch, they can come on and offer something different. And this is something Liverpool's midfield has not had in so long, right? We've always had a first 11 midfield that could do the job, whether it's Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago, even Mascherano, Gerard Alonso. But beyond that, the ability and the variation and the trust in the coaching team for that player to deliver the function or role that they've been instructed to do comes with a bit of game intelligence, a lot of ability, some luck, but dedicated training and good personality, right? This comes to the personable quality as well. Because now we have players, Gravenberch is looking to establish himself and make a name for himself, show his ability, show the world what he's got. He was labelled a flop at Bayern Munich, he's forgotten about, the forgotten man. Even other channels were not keen on Gravenberch. But you can't do that to a young player who's just aspiring to be the best that they can, and now Klopp is trying to get the best out of him. Similar to Curtis Jones as well, known as a kind of hot head. He is a bit cocky, he thought he could do everything, offensive player, getting assists and goals, and now he understands he is a key cog in the function of Liverpool's midfield to keep the ball, retain the ball and transition the ball as and when needed. And imagine if we had Thiago Alcantara, he would have been perfect as a tempo maestro. I watched one of the highlighted games where he absolutely showed a masterclass against Manchester United. Class is permanent, experience is permanent, and game intelligence is something that you're usually born with, right? And we have players with game intelligence. Jota is very articulate and very intelligent. He's a gamer, man. He knows how to win, right? He's probably feeling more pressure playing a final of FIFA than he is in a real life matchup. He's got game intelligence. He presses like a monster. He understands how to press as well. Harvey Elliott is very well articulated, very intelligent player for someone so young as well. Pacitic, he's not going to make the match, but he's a very intelligent, very silky player, a little bit of a cheeky chappy as well. You have to trust the players to actually perform the instructions you give them before you send them on the pitch, which is why they hold that clipboard and it takes so long for someone to transcribe the tactics and what they want them to do, expected role. Man City have some talented players as well, but like Jack the Lad Grealish, right? He's got ability and you know what he can do, but I don't think he's got the highest game intelligence. They're missing some of that real high caliber game intelligence I mentioned before. Ilkay Gundogan, De Bruyne, players of that ilk, David Silva as well. They have some in regards to Bernardo Silva, and for Phil Foden for or his personal characteristics, he's more of a wild card as well. He can turn a game on his head. That game against Liverpool last season when he turned it on and flashed that shot past Alisson, absolute magical player as well. But I feel as though in the game intelligence department, this Liverpool team is very, very strong. I'm not saying they're stronger than Manchester City, right? Manchester City still have some top quality talent, right? It's Ruben Dias, absolute monster. Rodri, he is a maestro, an absolute maestro at the base. But he didn't start like that, but he's developed over time and given the time, and also alongside Fernandinho as well. He is a key player, and it's up to Liverpool to press him and to keep him back and make sure he doesn't influence play further along. If he influences deep, fine, fair enough, you can't always stop that. But I'm expecting Szoboszlai or someone like to be pressing him and pushing him for the entirety of the game. Saying that though, are we really scared of this Manchester City team? They're faltering this season. They're not patchless. They're not faultless. They can be gotten at. But at the same time, this Liverpool team haven't been absolutely blistering away from home. And we have to show that we have the credentials to be absolute title challengers. And with a no-fear attitude, right? I think this is the second coming of the Liverpool team. And Klopp would have drilled into them. Let's show these guys what we've got. Stamp our authority. And you remember that quote. If we're going to lose, we're going to lose in the most beautiful way. Sure, this Liverpool team aren't faultless. But as a team, we've got to love their kind of enduring personality and happiness. It looks like a real family feel in this Liverpool behind the scenes thing. They're always playing games, and Van Dijk as a leader, he's a natural fit. He's an inspiring character. We need him on form as well. It could very well be a defender's header who makes a difference here. A Ruben Dias, an Ake, and a Kanji, a Virgil van Dijk, a Konate, right? Because sometimes these goals, these 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 goals from a defender makes a huge impact into the title race for a season. Remember John Terry scoring some crucial goals. Or Sami Hyypiä, how can you forget the big red lad Sami Hyypiä? Dosh, whacking in as well. Or could it be one of the youngsters who takes the platform and says it's my time to shine? That Foden goal from last season. Could it be a Harvey Elliott long pot shot from the edge of the area? Gravenberch breaking the lines, thunder deflection. That would be great. A deflection, I love that. Kyle Walker, right? As an offensive threat, he is getting older, but he's very, very solid as well. So who do we put against Kyle Walker? Would it be a Lucho Diaz, who's very silky, can go inside, can go both ways, very skillful, very persistent, will keep going, going. But he was shut out against Carvajal in the Real Madrid final, which was very unexpected and surprising. Or Jota, who's very slinky and very slalomy and very, very direct and unpredictable and can get that half space to sneak into the back post. Because Jota, obviously a striker by trade in the initial Liverpool setup, he can get into those little half spaces around the box. Do we need that person to find that little bit of space at the end, you know, of a cross or working it down the right to get it into the back post on the left, that kind of thing? Because traditionally, Liverpool do set up an overload of the right-hand side because majority of the delivery came through Trent or Salah or Elliott. Or if it's Gomez, even Gomez can deliver a mean cross on the occasion. Do we cross it so much from the left-hand side? Lucho Diaz, Jota, Curtis Jones or Gravenberch. So it's going to be an overload on the left side. And if someone can beat Walker to the punch, you don't need to beat him over long distances. It's only that short, snappy, instinctive, step in front of him, step behind him kind of thing. And Jota's slightly better than Diaz at that. But if you want a long-term consistent threat and a pest, then it will be Diaz on the left-hand side. But ultimately, it'll be very, very interesting to see how this game pans out. I'm very excited. These are the two tactical masterminds of our generation. To see them set up the initial lineup, to see the initial tactics, to see how they clash, to see the conflict that's exposed from that, opportunity is born from that conflict, to see them adjust the person on the pitch, try to address that, get to half time, the talk, let's see who's in front, who's behind, how the game is flowing, the story of the game. Guardiola is very big on making sure the game plays out to the vision that he had in his head, which is why positional play for him is more important than the actual, you know, result of that phase. Because he, in his mind, remember when Henry moved away from tactical position, linked up with Messi and scored a goal? He was substituted at half time and Henry was like, position is the most important for Guardiola. Whereas Klopp, I believe, just wants to win, just wants the 3 points. Substance, style, doesn't matter. Get the 3 points. But the way he's going to set up will give you a big indication of the mentality going to this game, where he'll settle for a draw or go for the win. And as they transition in the game, and as the game evolves, and as the referee influences, unfortunately, and the fouls and all the little mini stories within the game, it'll be so interesting to see defence against Haaland, the other defence against Nunes, how the fullbacks cope one-on-one. What are the situations to create those game-winning situations where there's 1-2 to get someone in the half space? I'm looking at Salah, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, Julian Alvarez, Dominic Szoboszlai. Getting them in front of that back line is a recipe for disaster, to be honest, and you've got to snuff that out, which is why the sixes are so important, and Rodri is absolutely crucial for them. But similarly on our side, McAllister will be crucial for us because he will start our play, and his ball back 1-2s with maybe Trent or Van Dijk will be the trigger point for our forwards to run and trying to break the press. And I have a sneaky feeling that Szoboszlai will have an absolutely immaculate game here. That's my personal opinion. I'm going for a Liverpool 2-1 victory away from home. I'm a Liverpool fan, you've got to believe, but I think signs are good, and I'm really looking forward to this game. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Let me know what you think below in the comments. Let's debate this. I love intelligent talk. Love the Liverpool fan base, even the Manchester City fan base. Get on board if you watch this video. Until next time, ciao.